No! Now take your stinking money and get off my ship! It really wasn't our day. He was the 5th guy to reject us already. No one seemed to want to go to that island. Oh, hi there. Julia here. It's been 2 years since my dad strangely vanished into thin air while on a business trip. He just disappeared. But even when the authorities confirmed he'd passed away, I couldn't shake off the feeling that he was still alive somewhere out there. So I've still been looking for him ever since. In fact, just a few days ago, I found a clue. You see, I'm studying at the Archaeological Institute, where I happened to find an ancient map of some treasure hidden on a deserted island. Sounds wild, right? Well, it gets crazier. Right at the exact spot where the treasure was marked on the map was a symbol of a swallow. My dad's signature swallow, and his initials RC were written there too. Could it be? There was no time to waste. So that's how I ended up here in a fishing village close to that island with my best friend Lily. She's tagged along because she was so worried about me going alone, which was sweet of her. You see, there was a rumor among the locals that the island was cursed. Apparently, anyone who dared to venture there disappeared without a trace. That's why it's named the Lost Isle. But there was one ship that had returned from there intact. Captain Black Bill's. On returning, he told the locals that surrounding the Lost Isle were reefs with super fast currents, so most ships ended up shipwrecked. The souls of those who died there were trapped years after years and became wicked spirits guarding the island from strangers. But fortunately for Black Bill, he happened to have a charm of the goddess Amphitrite to protect him from all the storms at sea. And it actually worked. Anyway, Lily and I decided he was the man for the job, so we went to the local pub to find him.
"Give me another rum and coke, will ya?"
he said between hiccups. The man was already drunk. I then asked him if he could take us to the island, but the barman chimed in.
"Oh, come on. Only fools dare to go near the Lost Isle."
But isn't it safe to go with Black Bill? I heard he's protected by a goddess or something.
"That's right."
Black Bill suddenly raised his voice.
"But the charm only works when you're out at sea. Stepping onto that island is another matter. Besides, the spirits guarding that island are terrifying. I'm not insane enough to go back there. So the answer is no!"
I wasn't about to give up, though. How much do you want?
50,000 and I'll take yas.
He laughed. His words left us dumbfounded. Let's just go home. This was a waste of time. He's obviously trying to steal our money. 50 grand? Where on earth could we find that amount of money? But I'm so close to my dad now. I can feel it. I can't give up halfway. Suddenly, I had an idea. Actually, we wanted to go to the island to find an ancient treasure that's worth way more than $50,000. If you take us, we'll split the treasure. What do you say?
"Ha! How do I know you're not bluffing?"
he said. So I showed him the map. It took him a few minutes, but eventually he shook my hand and the deal was set. Then he said we needed to set off as soon as possible. Otherwise, other people would try and beat us to the treasure. So, early the next day, we boarded his ship, the Siren. And I'm not gonna lie, we were both pretty scared. The other sailors were quite rough, and only one of them stood out as he smiled brightly at us. He then came over and offered to help carry our luggage. He was just so sweet compared to the others.
"What's so funny? I'm Skylar, by the way."
"Oh, nothing. It's just, you don't really seem like you belong here."
"Well, I don't have much choice. My dad's the captain."
They're related? But he seemed nothing like Black Bill. He could clearly see I was surprised as he said,
"Everyone reacts like that. It's true. I don't look much like him, do I?"
Ahem. I turned around, realizing Lily was just standing there waiting for us. She had a smirk on her face and wouldn't quit teasing me as Skylar led us to our room. "Since when did you change your type to sailor boys?" I just shook my head, laughing. I mean, he was cute, but that wasn't the point of the trip. We settled in, but that night I couldn't sleep at all. I decided to go up on deck for some stargazing. It was eerily quiet out there, but I suddenly heard a sound coming from the other side of the ship. I quickly went to see and found Skylar leaning on the rail. He's probably having trouble falling asleep too. So we ended up chatting all night, and I told him why I had to get to the Lost Isle. He looked me in the eyes and said,
"I'm sure you'll find your dad. I know you can do it."
He seemed so sincere and warm. It actually made my heart skip a beat. By noon the next day, we had reached the island, and it was just as terrifying as Black Bill had said it would be. Rows and rows of jagged rocks rising out of the sea, with the waves crashing so high, I thought we'd be shipwrecked in a second. The ship was shaking so violently, I really didn't think we'd make it. But we did. After almost colliding with the rocks a few times, we eventually made it through, and I've never been happier to see land before. However, there were still many challenges ahead. The first night on the island, I was curled up in my tent when a sound of footsteps coming from outside woke me up. I quickly unzipped it to see who was there, and that's when I saw a dark figure rushing off into the bushes. I was so scared, I screamed and woke everyone up. After checking, we realized all our bags and food that we'd left outside had been stolen.
"Perhaps the ghosts of this cursed island are trying to scare us away."
I felt Lily shiver beside me, while I tried my best to look unfazed. But Skylar suddenly spoke up.
"What would ghosts do with food anyway? It was obviously some man. Monkeys? Yes, it was obviously monkeys. Right, son? In fact, they'll probably come back, so we best keep our eyes peeled."
For the rest of the night, we took turns guarding the tents. Then once the sun came up, we packed up our camp and continued on our journey across the jungle. "Julia, are there really ghosts on this island?" "Ghosts aren't real, Lily." I started, but then I found myself screaming. My right leg dropped and suddenly I was falling into a hole. Luckily, Skylar was nearby and grabbed my arm just in time. I quickly looked down and saw there were dozens of sharpened wooden stakes at the bottom of the hole. What in the world? That wasn't the only trap, though. As we crossed the island, we all got stuck in a snare at some point. From net to rope leg traps, this cursed island has all the tricks up its sleeve. Luckily, no one got seriously injured, but it was still totally freaky. That night, I headed towards Skylar's tent to thank him for saving me, and as soon as he saw me, he pulled me into a hidden corner and said,
"There's something I need to tell you. I'm not Black Bill's real son." "Skylar!"
Black Bill suddenly shouted from a distance.
"Come here! Right now!" "I'll talk to you later. Hide that compass, and don't tell anyone." Before I could even begin to understand what was going on, he'd left. Another shock hit me as I saw the swallow symbol alongside my dad's initials engraved onto the lid. Huh? How did he get this? Did Skylar know my dad? A billion questions flooded my mind, but by then, Skylar had already gone guarding the campsite with his dad. The next morning, after basically no sleep, I decided I had to find Skylar and get some answers. As I was looking around for him, a group of strangers landed from the trees. They were like some sort of jungle people, with bushy hair and beards and wore raggedy clothing. They surrounded our camp and started threatening us. I was so scared, I couldn't move a muscle. "Julia! Lily! Run!" Skylar screamed, and I managed to snap out of it. I grabbed my bag in Lily's hand and ran after him and Black Bill. We eventually found a cave and took shelter there. It was hidden deep in the trees, and we prayed they wouldn't find us. We then only came out when we were sure they were gone. I asked if we should go find the rest of the crew, but Black Bill ignored my question and only had his mind on the treasure. Ugh! He was willing to leave his crew behind. What a cold-blooded man! And yet, I had no other choice but to continue the search. I couldn't risk being caught by those barbarians. I needed to find my dad. So,
I reluctantly pulled the map out, and we followed the directions. It led us to a stone temple in the middle of the island. One by one, we entered and went deep inside. Suddenly, Black Bill screamed. An arrow flew past him, just missing his cheek. Terrified, he turned pale, clutching his chest.
Your treasure better be worth all of this, or else...
We continued on and saw a door. That's it! The treasure is behind this! Black Bill ran forward, throwing himself against the door. His patience was definitely wearing thin. While he worked on getting the door open, I looked around for more clues about my dad. Suddenly, I turned around to see Black Bill falling on his knees. He'd managed to open the door, but inside was just a room full of dusty, chipped, cobweb-covered vases.
You tricked me! I risked my life to come to this hole of an island for nothing!
Black Bill then swooped over to grab me. I struggled to get away from him. He was squeezing my neck so tight, I couldn't breathe. I looked to Skylar pleading for help, and he tried to calm Black Bill down.
Oh, shut up! And you! Bring all your stuff over here, or this friend of yours will be in big trouble.
Trembling, Lily did as he said, begging him to spare me, but he only gave her a threatening look while tightening his arms around my neck. He signaled for Skylar to come get his things.
No! Let her go! Oh, little Sky, did you forget about your mummy and daddy? You don't want them to get hurt, do you? I've done enough for you.
What were the two of them talking about? What was going on? My head was spinning, and with the suffocation, I gradually lost consciousness and passed out. When I woke up, I found myself on the Siren, surrounded by Lily, Skylar, and... Dad? Am I dreaming? Is it really you? My eyes blurred with tears. I rushed over and hugged my dad. Then I found out what had happened. As soon as I fainted, the horde of barbarians rushed in, captured Black Bill, and freed us all. Turned out, these people were all sailors, archaeologists, and explorers who had come to the island to look for treasure. When going through the reef, they were attacked by a group of pirates who robbed them of all their possessions and belongings. Then they were mercilessly dumped empty-handed on the island. That crew of pirates was none other than Black Bill's crew. All those legend tales about the island, including the amphitrite charm, were made up by Black Bill himself, thinking he could cover up his crimes by preventing people from approaching the island. Wow, that man was a real monster. I knew something was fishy about him. But luckily, taking the chance of the pirates setting sail to the island, the group of victims conspired to capture them and free themselves from the deserted island. As for Skylar, poor Skylar, he had been through so much. He was actually one of the victims. 2 years ago, he and his parents were also dumped on the island. Worrying that their young boy wouldn't survive, his parents begged Black Bill to let him be a part of the crew. Seeing that Skylar was strong and healthy, Black Bill agreed, on one condition that if he ever betrayed him, his parents would be executed. Thanks to Skylar, the victims were able to survive to this day. Every time the boat came near the island, he would sneak food and necessities into a barrel and let it float to shore. Smart move. Oh, and that's not all. When Skylar was on the island, he had met my dad, and they even had a talk before Skylar was about to get on board to join the crew.
Please, promise me, if you manage to escape, try to find my daughter, and give her this as a sign that I'm still alive and well live. I promise.
I couldn't believe it. It was all thanks to Skylar that I'd found my dad. He smiled at both me and my dad and said,
"See? I never break a promise."
Anyway, when the ship docked, the pirates were immediately arrested. As for the victims, they were finally reunited with their families. Now, a year has passed, and honestly, all this was still so surreal to me. My dad and I spent a large chunk of the past year setting up an organization to help the people who'd been stranded on the island reintegrate into society. Lily has actually been writing a book about our adventure. And as for me and Skylar, well, we're officially dating. Guess it wasn't such a cursed island after all. Right?
Oh, we couldn't make a tiny single profit this month. Again? Business is so slow these days. Oh no, it's already past 5? Gotta go pick up Lucy. I rushed over to Elena's house. She's my best friend. She often helps take care of my daughter Lucy so I can work extra hours. No matter how tough things were going for me, at least I still have Lucy. Even on the worst days, one look at her angelic smile, and I realize things aren't so bad after all. Why the long face? Has this month been as hard as last month? I nodded, sadly, and entered the house. It's been even worse. I just want to earn enough money to provide a nice life for Lucy, but I'm barely breaking even. I looked over at Lucy, who was playing with her dollies on the living room floor. I plopped down on the sofa while Elena brought me a cup of tea. Things will get better. I just know it. How about I read your tarot cards to see if things will improve for you? Yeah, right. Let's just assume those fortune-telling things are right. I'm not into the spiritual stuff, but Elena swears by it. I suppose it can't hurt to hear what she has to say, right? She made me shuffle the cards, then laid some out on the coffee table in front of me. Oh, that's interesting. Hey, Nora, seems like your life's going to change sooner than you think. Destiny is telling me that it'll be tomorrow after work at the bakery close to your shop. It looks like you'll meet a man, a rich one. I stared down at the cards. How on earth was she getting all this information from them? Yeah, whatever. Thanks for looking after Lucy, but I better take her home and make her dinner. Who would believe those fortune-telling tricks? But, come to think of it, I'm also desperate. With all the lockdowns and Brexit, my little candle shop in the south of England wasn't going so well of late. No amount of 2-for-1 offers or sales events were helping. I'm down to single digits on the money my parents lent me to open up the shop. Then there's Lucy to think of. In her 3 years of life, she has already been through so much, including her father abandoning us both. I want to provide an amazing life for her, not cause us both to end up homeless. I may as well do as Elena said. I mean, it's not like I had anything to lose. So the next day, I closed up the shop early, then with Lucy in tow, walked toward the bakery. There didn't seem to be anyone about. Looks like Elena was oh so wrong. Oh, miss, I'm so sorry. I brushed bits of pastry off me and glared at this man. Okay, so it looked like he's only a few years older than me, but why is he wearing such old-fashioned clothes? And what's with his awful hairstyle? This has to be the man Elena was talking about, right? But he's so not my type. But I suppose if dating him changes everything, then... Oh, cute kid. He pointed at Lucy, who was cuddling her favorite doll. Yeah, this is my daughter Lucy. Sometimes I swear she loves that doll more than me. She won't let it out of her sight. He chuckled, then nervously scratched his head and said, You're a good mother, I can tell. Are you going this way? He pointed up the street. I nodded, then started walking alongside him. Okay, so he's called Dylan. He's an engineer and he's just moved here for work. We exchanged numbers and you know what? We've been texting quite a lot. Soon we started hanging out and he's not so bad, albeit a little on the boring side. Lucy seems to adore him, though. He pulls silly faces to make her laugh and buys her sweets. He even took us both to the zoo. OMG, it was so good. And Lucy loved seeing the penguins. So when he told me he liked me and asked me out on a date, I said yes. Okay, so he's not my usual type, but he's rich, caring, and good with Lucy. Besides, it's all too much to be a coincidence, right? Elena's tarot reading must have come true, and he's the guy who's going to change my luck. Hey, all the romantic dates out to the restaurants and places were kind of fun. And even better, business was improving. This was great and all, but dating Dylan was getting kind of tiring. I like the guy. He's sweet and kind, but I don't have feelings for him. One time after a delicious meal, he walked me home. Then, on my doorstep, he gushed out about how much he liked me, then leaned in for a kiss. Panicked, I darted out of the way, causing him to trip over and almost fall into a bush. Another time, he took my hand when we were walking through the park. I then just stood there while he gave me this soppy look and said, Nora, I really like you, and I know you like me too because you're not letting go of my hand. It made me feel so awkward. So I just pretended I had something in my eye, then changed the subject. Good luck charm or not, I couldn't carry on like this anymore. So when Dylan surprised me at my shop with a bouquet of flowers, which caused a bunch of wasps to swarm around me, I screamed at him, "Please? I'm trying to work. Will you just leave me alone?" Dylan looked hurt, and he left. I felt really bad about it, but I just felt so suffocated by him. After that, Dylan and I stopped seeing each other, but as expected, my business started to go downhill again. Ugh, why? Why does it have to be him that makes everything work? But if it's really only Dylan who can help me make money, then then I'd continue dating him until the end of this winter. I mean, I did need money to provide for Lucy. As a peace offering, I decided to buy Dylan his favorite pastry from the bakery and surprise him with it. But as I was walking out of the bakery, I walked straight into someone. Dylan? Turns out he was also planning on surprising me, and he was just getting a pastry for Dutch courage. I invited him into my shop, and he handed me this gross gemstone bracelet. But I forced a smile, told him it was beautiful, and hugged him. Looks like we're back on. That night I went home and placed the bracelet on the side, but then Lucy got a hold of it, and I noticed one of the gemstones on it was missing. So terrified she'd swallowed it, I spent all evening in A&E. Turns out it was a false alarm. Nice gift, Dylan. For the sake of my business, I may have had to date Dylan, but that didn't mean I couldn't see other guys too. So I joined this dating app and started talking to this cute guy called Austin. We gelled so well. So when he asked me out, I said yes. It was a harmless meetup. This wasn't cheating, right? Austin showed up and, I didn't want to compare, but Dylan was like a desert, while Austin was definitely the green oasis. But right when Austin and I stepped out of the cafe, we ran into Dylan on the sidewalk with another girl. So turns out we both wanted to find someone new? If so, maybe there was no need to wait until winter. So Dylan insisted on coming round, and naturally he wanted to know who Austin was. I mentioned how we were both seeing other people, so it was fine. But turns out the girl I saw with him was just a friend. It was time I was honest with him. So I told him how he was a good luck charm for my business, and that's why I continued to date him. He clutched his chest and gave me this heartbroken look. Then he just nodded and left. I felt really bad about it, but at least it was over now, right? I went back to raising Lucy the best I could, trying to salvage my failing business and dating Austin, but in the end it didn't work out with him. The weird thing is I found myself thinking about Dylan all the time. Just the cheesy things he said and his quirky ways. I couldn't help but think that if he was here now, life would be so much better. OMG, the realization hit me. I actually have feelings for Dylan. I tried texting and calling him, but he didn't answer. I suppose I couldn't blame him. So I went round to Elena's and confided in her. That's when she took my hands in hers and told me the shocking truth. Dylan is actually my cousin. He really has just moved to this town, and he is an engineer. But I made the fortune thing up. Actually, Dylan once saw you come over to pick up Lucy and liked you. So I decided to do some matchmaking. What? So all this time, it had all been a lie? My business didn't improve because of Dylan. It had just been a fluke? I was kind of mad with Elena, but I asked her for a favor. I'm so nervous. I got Elena to set this meeting up with Dylan. He thinks he's meeting her, not me. Oh, there he is. Oh, it's you. Dylan, I know I was horrible to you, and I'm sorry. Elena told me everything, and I don't care if my business could be better or worse, even though we both tricked each other. I know that I like you, and I just want you by my side. He gave me this questioning look. Then, seeing that I was being serious, he hugged me. So what now? Well, Dylan and I are back together. He's so great with Lucy, and guess what? My business is magically doing amazing again. Turns out it has nothing to do with magic or good luck charms or anything to do with Dylan, who not only recommended my little candle shop to all of his friends and clients, but also started up an awesome online marketing campaign for me. Sometimes happiness is right under our noses, but we still try to find it somewhere else. So my advice to you is to learn how to be happy with the things you already have, as, trust me, it's only when you lose them that you realize how amazing they were in the first place. It was a normal, boring day in the grocery store. I was stacking milk in the fridge when Camilla, my coworker, came and said, Layla, you have to help me. I have this date tomorrow night, but I'm busy. Could you please go instead? Wait, what? I don't even know your date. Besides, I have a boyfriend. Lincoln, remember? Then she began explaining to me about this dating service, and she assured me it was 100% legit. It was mainly lonely men who just wanted some company. All I had to do was talk to them, and of course, there was a strict no hugging or kissing policy. At the end of the date, they'd pay me. No thanks. No way I was gonna do that. After my shift, I went home to see my landlady lingering in my doorway. She started yelling at me that I still owed her 5 months' worth of rent, and if I didn't pay it by the end of the week, she'd kick me out. I begged her to give me more time, but it was pointless. My God, what to do? Where could I get that much money on such short notice? Oh, wait a minute. What about Camilla's dating service? It looks like I was out of choices, so I called her and agreed to go on the date. So here I am, on my weird date night. I put the most basic dress I could find on. Oh boy, I sure felt nervous. I have no idea what to say and how to act. Oh, that must be him. My God, Camilla! How could she forget to mention that the guy was in his 50s? People would think he's my sugar daddy. Ugh! Keep it together, Layla. I couldn't back out now, as my home depended on it. So, I slowly approached the man. At first, he looked surprised. That figures. I mean, he was expecting Camilla. I explained the situation to him, and he wasn't mad or anything. He just smiled at me, and we started chatting. He's called Mr. Hall. He lost his wife 2 years ago, and ever since then, he's been feeling lonely and needed someone to talk to. So that's why he started using this service. He was actually pretty easy to talk to, so the night quickly went by without any problem. After the date, he handed me an envelope and told me how grateful he was to me for listening to his burdens. I was itching to go home and open the envelope, but then he started going on about his heartbroken son. Suddenly, he was asking me if I'd talk to him. Obviously, I refused as this was a one-time thing to help out Camilla. Besides, I have a boyfriend. Speaking of which, he'll be so furious if he ever finds out about this. The next day, I paid the landlady 2 months' rent and assured her I'd have the rest with her soon. But to my shock, she just scowled at me and forced me to pay all at once. Well, guess where I am now? In a cafe, waiting for Mr. Hall and his son. Ugh. Oh, there he is. And that must be his son. Geez, could he look any more annoyed? Hi, I'm Layla. Nice to meet you. Save it. I'm only here because he forced me to. So just let's get it over with. Layla, thank you for coming. This is my son, Leon. Please don't mind his attitude. Then Mr. Hall left us alone. Man, Leon was hard work. Any questions I asked him, he just shrugged or snorted. Then, when he finally spoke, he sarcastically said, So, Layla, I hope the money's worth it. What? How rude! Then he continued, You must be desperate. Don't you feel ashamed of yourself? Ugh! He was the rudest person I'd ever met. But, yes, I was desperately in need of money. So I took a deep breath and started telling him about myself. When time ran out, I said goodbye to him and left. What an unpleasant experience, but at least that was the end of it, right? Wrong, as Mr. Hall asked me to meet him several more times. Who was I to argue? I mean, I needed the money. But Leon was getting on my nerves, as all he did was slouch in his seat, slurp his drink, and say nothing. So, it was down to me to do all of the talking. I began telling him all sorts of things, about my past, my family, and friends, and even about my future plans. And Leon just sat there listening to everything, supposedly. Luckily, it finally ended, and Mr. Hall paid me so I never had to meet Leon again. Because the last few weeks had been taken up with dating Mr. Hall and his son, I hadn't seen much of Lincoln. So, at the weekend, I invited him over to mine and cooked for him. We were sitting on the couch hugging while watching a movie when Lincoln said, in a serious tone, Layla, we need to talk. But then suddenly my phone rang. It was Mr. Hall. I quickly rushed to the balcony to pick up. He wanted me to be Leon's +1 at his eldest son's wedding, and he was willing to pay double? Ugh, that sounded awful, but Besides rent, I also had to pay for college fees and food, and my measly income from the grocery store didn't come close to covering it at all, so I reluctantly agreed. When I returned inside, I asked Lincoln what he wanted to tell me. He hesitantly said that he had to go on a business trip for 2 weeks. Well, maybe it was for the best, so I could go with Leon without worrying about my boyfriend. Ugh, I felt so guilty. I swear this would be the last time I was going to do this. Leon arrived to pick me up, and as soon as he saw my dress, he insisted I couldn't wear such an ugly thing. Ugh, he was so rude. I told him I had nothing else suitable, so he drove me to a dress boutique, then told the staff to bring the most beautiful dress in store to try on. Oh my, it was stunning. I was overwhelmed when I saw myself in the mirror. Well, I definitely looked amazing in it, and Leon must be thinking that too, 'cause he couldn't take my eyes off me. It's such a shame I can't afford it. But then before I could stop him, he went ahead and paid for it. How frustrating. I was sitting in the church waiting for the wedding to start while Leon flirted with some girls. Thank God Lincoln wasn't like that jerk. Then everyone went to their seats and the wedding began. The groom walked to the altar in this luxury-fitted suit. Man, it must be so nice to be rich. But is that Lincoln? My Lincoln? Our eyes met, and he looked as shocked as I did. But instead of running to me and explaining everything, he just ignored me and continued with the wedding. I had to watch them saying their vows, exchanging rings, and kissing. I thought I was going to faint any minute now. Then at the wedding reception, Leon dragged me over to Lincoln and introduced me as his girlfriend. Awkward overload. And soon, some pretty girl distracted Leon again, so he chased after her. Then Lincoln immediately pulled me over to the stairwell. Why are you here with my brother? Were you cheating on me this whole time? Seriously? What about you? I'm not the one who just got married. Let me explain, it's not what it looks like. Right at that moment, Leon appeared and asked why we were here talking. I muttered out some story about trying to find the bathroom. Then I told Leon I had a headache and asked him to take me home. This was so confusing. How could my perfect boyfriend now be married to someone else? He kept on texting me saying he wanted to meet up and talk. I guess I needed to at least hear him out. The next day I met him at the museum, where we had our first date. So, his wife, Sandra, is the daughter of an affluential businessman who owns one of the biggest corporations in town. Lincoln's family company is in big debt, so his dad forced him to marry Sandra in order to save the company. Believe me when I say I don't have any feelings for Sandra. It's just business. I only love you. Please don't leave me. I promise, as soon as the company is back on track, I'll file for divorce. Yeah, I know you probably think I'm crazy, but I still love him too. Besides, if the marriage is only temporary so he can save this family business, then that's understandable, right? He kissed me goodbye and left. But after that, Lincoln changed. Every time I texted and called him, he told me he was busy and would call me back. But he never did. I guess married life was preoccupying him. As if this wasn't frustrating enough, I had to put up with Leon. He kept on appearing at my place and bothering me. One time he showed up drunk, complaining about his ex-girlfriend, who'd just married someone else. Yeah, obviously it's far from worse than my current boyfriend just getting married. I tried to kick him out, but he'd already fallen asleep on my couch. The next morning I went to the kitchen to see Leon holding a picture of me and Lincoln and asking why we were on it. So I just shrugged and explained that we were a couple. Leon started laughing and calling me a fool. We argued back and forth, and in the end, I made him leave. I don't care what everyone thinks. I believe Lincoln. Then a few days later, I was walking out of college when I saw Mr. Hall waiting for me. He gave a slight sigh, then said, I will make this short. Stay away from Lincoln. He's married now. Layla, I'm fond of you, but if you try messing with Lincoln's marriage, I won't hesitate in making things complicated for you. Oh my God. I can't believe Leon snitched on me. Ugh, what a giant baby. In anger, I took out my phone and gave him a piece of my mind. Oh my God. I can't believe you told your dad about me and Lincoln. You're such a jerk. Just leave us alone and mind your own business. If you trust Lincoln, then that's on you. But he's not as innocent as he makes out. He and Dad would do everything for the company. What did that mean? I hung up without letting him say another word. This jerk didn't even try to cover up his action. I couldn't just let them do this. I needed to fight for us. So the next day, I walked straight into Mr. Hall's office, even though his secretary tried to stop me. I told him right to his face that I would never give up on Lincoln despite his threats. And you know what? Forcing your son to get married just to save the company makes you a coward. Mr. Hall burst out laughing. Well, what came next was far from funny. Turns out it was Lincoln's idea to marry Sandra. Leon was right. Both of them would do everything for the company. Another thing, Leon didn't tell Mr. Hall about Lincoln and me. He saw us talking at the wedding, so we hired someone to investigate us. I was totally wrong about Leon. Right at that moment, Lincoln walked in and stopped dead on seeing me. Layla, what are you doing here? You liar. I can't believe I trusted you. Please hear me out. I took the iced coffee from Mr. Hall's desk and splashed it in Lincoln's lying face. We're done. Overcome with emotions and feeling like a massive fool, I rushed to the nearest bar to drown my sorrows. I was about to down my 4th shot when a hand stopped me. Can Lincoln just leave me alone? But when I looked up, it was Leon. Why are you so good to me? I mean, I blamed you for telling your dad. You should hate me. Because I like you. I felt like the room was spinning upon hearing his words. Then everything slowly came to light. Leon was devastated when his girlfriend broke up with him. But then he found out she did it to be with his brother. Yes, you heard me right. His ex was none other than Sandra. At first, Mr. Hall forced Leon to marry Sandra for the sake of the company. Even though Leon was crazy about her, he didn't want to marry her under those stipulations. Lincoln overheard their conversation, so to gain his father's trust, he charmed Sandra away from Leon. Oh my God, this family was crazy. I didn't want anything to do with any of them ever again. So I just rejected Leon's feelings, ran straight out of the bar, and cut off totally with all of them. So what now? Well, I graduated last month. So after that, I decided I needed a fresh start in a shiny new city. So far, so good. I have a new job, which I adore. And it's so good knowing I'm not going to run into that jerk Lincoln or his dad. I know what you're wondering. What about Leon? Well, one day, I was walking out of my apartment when I saw a familiar face. Yes, it was him. Turns out when Leon heard that I was moving to another city, he moved too. I thought it was sweet that he was willing to leave his family, friends, and job behind just to be with me. Maybe it's time to gradually open up to him, don't you think? Well, time will tell. Too bad my story has to end here.
Hi, I'm Viola, and today is a big day. You see, it's my first time ever acting in this awesome short film, but I can't seem to focus at all. Why, you ask? Well, that's because I just discovered I'm not real. Or, to be exact, I only exist in my best friend's imagination. Sounds strange, doesn't it? Until yesterday, I always thought of myself as a completely normal human being. Let me tell you how it all started. The first memory I have involves my best friend Harlow. I woke up feeling dazed and confused and saw this pretty girl smiling down at me. She told me that I'd be safe now and that her parents were going to look after me. Strangely, I couldn't remember anything before that day, and no one told me what had happened. I could only guess that I'd probably been abandoned or something, and that Harlow and her parents were my saviors. So, from then on, I lived with Harlow's family, who showed me kindness and love. When I first got out of the hospital, I couldn't do anything by myself. From personal things like brushing my teeth and washing my face, to chores such as doing laundry and dumping the trash. At the time, it was Harlow who guided and helped me, like a caring big sister. Then, when we entered middle school and the boys started flirting with me, Harlow was always by my side to protect me. She told me how they would never like a plain, boring girl like me, and that they were only doing this to get close to her, as she was very beautiful. If I had a decision to make, big or small, I always consulted Harlow first, as I knew she'd know best. But recently, I noticed that Harlow was acting short-tempered with me. When I got a better grade on my English essay than her, she told me I only got that mark as the teacher just felt sorry for me. Then she stormed off. Man, I didn't mean to upset her, and it was really unfair that the teacher didn't give her the grade she deserved, as she's far smarter than I am. Then last week, this boy called Hank in our school's film club held open auditions for his short film project. Harlow was desperate to be in it, so I decided to go along with her for support. I thought Harlow's audition was marvelous, but for some reason, she wasn't picked. I was about to leave too, but then Hank asked me if I wanted to audition. So I did, and you know what? I got the lead role. I was so surprised, and so was Harlow. She insisted that they were just tricking me and I shouldn't take the part, as why would they choose a girl with ordinary looks like me to play the female lead? But still, I wanted to give it a try. Opportunities like this don't come twice, right? So I accepted the part. I know Harlow was worried that they were just teasing me, but Hank and his crew seemed nice. And maybe he finds my normal look suitable for the character, right? The morning before the shooting day, I asked Harlow to lend me her pretty white dress to wear to the shoot. Harlow looked annoyed as she said, "You spilled coffee on that dress last time you borrowed it, remember? You didn't even bother taking care of it, and now the stain's still there." "No way! I remember washing it before returning it to you." "Well, then you remember it wrong. It's my dress, so I'm hardly going to forget what you did to it, am I?" Then she left in a temper. Strange. I remember using vinegar to clean the coffee stains, as it took me ages to scrub it off. But it is true that my memory isn't all that good. When I was a child, I once waited in the park in the rain for over an hour, just because I thought Harlow told me to meet her there on Saturday afternoon. I said Sunday afternoon. I have piano practice today, silly. So maybe I misremembered again, and really didn't wash the dress for her? That day in math class, Harlow got caught texting, so the teacher confiscated her phone. At break time, she asked me to sneak into the school administrator's room to get her phone back. But of course I refused, as I was far too scared to do that kind of stuff. "It's okay, no one can see you." Basically because you only exist in my imagination. What was she talking about? What did she mean by that? For the rest of the lesson, I kept thinking about Harlow's words. When the bell rang, seeing that I was still confused, Harlow pointed to a group of students standing nearby and told me that no matter what I did, they wouldn't see me. And that's true! When I waved my hands and talked to them, no one looked in my direction. I even snapped my fingers in front of them, but they didn't react at all. What is going on? Harlow told me that because she imagined me, she's in control of who sees me or not. Then she told me that if I still didn't believe it, I should go to the school administrator's room to get her phone. Then I'd see that she was telling the truth. The superintendent was standing right across the hallway, but Harlow assured me I'd be invisible to her. My heart was thudding like crazy, but I tried to shake back my nerves and continued to get her phone undetected. Whoa! The superintendent didn't see me at all! So, what Harlow said was true? I only existed in her imagination? That means Harlow's really the one who decides what will happen to me. And who I'll meet? So basically the author of my life story. But does that also mean that I have no control over my own life? Well, if I even have a life. Then Harlow barged into my room and said, "You've never wondered why you don't remember anything about your parents and about the time before you met me, have you?" It was 'cause I lost my memory after the accident. There was no accident, Viola. You have no previous memories because that was when I created you, as I wanted a friend to play with. I kept this truth a secret because I love you, and you always listened to me. But you've been so headstrong lately. After Harlow left, I found myself feeling so down. It turned out my whole life had never belonged to me. No wonder I was so plain and ordinary. All I am is a side character in Harlow's story. After a horrible sleepless night, I didn't even feel like going to the film set anymore. And it's already late anyway. I was laying in bed, spacing out, when Hank phoned me asking where I was. I only exist in Harlow's imagination, so there's no point filming. Huh? What nonsense are you going on about? Stop joking, Viola. We're short on time over here. Seeing that I didn't even bother to reply to him, but just let out a long sigh, he continued. All right then, if that's the case, then you should at least make it count. Would you like to imagine yourself as just a boring nobody? Or a brilliant actress? I suppose Hank's words made sense, so I got myself back together and hurried to the film set. Even if I'm imaginary, I'll make this unreal life of mine unimaginably awesome. The filming was actually a lot of fun, and everyone complimented my acting. They were probably just being nice, but it still felt good. Then Hank came over and congratulated me. Now that filming's over, you can be honest with me. I don't mind. I know you only cast me as the lead as you like Harlow.
What do you mean? And the thing you said this morning as well about only existing in Harlow's imagination?
I ended up blurting out everything to him, and you know what he did? He laughed. But when he saw that I was struggling to fight back my tears, he took my hand.
Viola, listen to me. Harlow's tricking you. The only thing not real in all of this are her words, not you.
No way. Harlow's my best friend. She would never do such a thing.
If you only existed in Harlow's imagination, how come you still decided, on your own, to show up at film set this morning? How come you still meet other people without her being around? Like, right now. Harlow couldn't have written the script with all these little details, right? Come on, Vi. Think about it.
But there was a time when Harlow made me invisible to everybody else. I snapped my fingers in front of them, and they didn't react at all. Hank asked me who these people were, and I told him. He said he'd make sure I saw sense. Then he left. This was so confusing. I cannot tell what is real and what's not anymore. The next day at school, when I was sorting my locker out, Hank dragged a reluctant-looking boy over to me. I recognized him. He was part of the group who didn't see me.
Go on. Tell her everything.
The boy told me how Harlow had bribed them to trick me. He also said that they distracted the superintendent so I could sneak into her office without being caught. What? I didn't understand why Harlow would do this to me. Hank went with me to confront her, and she faked a smile and said,
Silly Viola. It was just a joke.
So what about the fact that I can't remember anything about the time before I met you? You said there was no accident. It's also a lie, isn't it?
I never said that. Probably you misremembered again like so many times before. I view you as a sister, Viola. I'd never lie to you.
I didn't know what to believe anymore. I needed to be alone for a minute. This was all too much to process. So I ran to the nearby park to clear my mind. Suddenly, I felt something cold next to my cheek. It was Hank. He passed me some water and told me to drink it and calm down.
Viola, I think Harlow's gaslighting you. She's basically emotionally abusing you to make you question your own sanity. I know you see her as a sister, but she's really toxic.
Could it? Could it be possible that Harlow didn't have my best interests at heart? But what did she even get out of this, though? I'm not sure if this was because she wanted me to rely on her or she's jealous, but either way, knowing she could deceive me like that hurt like crazy. I didn't want to believe that that was what had been happening, but after all explanations, it's so clear now that Harlow was gaslighting me. And ever since then, I tried to avoid her as much as possible. But this was tricky, seeing as we were in the same class and lived together. I just wished I could grow up fast, so I could go to college and leave this house. At least there was good news. Hank's film in which I starred had gained attention on YouTube, and he was even selected to attend the Short Film Festival with a view to supporting the city's young talented filmmakers. Then, one day, I arrived home from school to see Harlow's parents drinking coffee with a strange woman. Huh? She sure looked a lot like me. Suddenly, she was running over to me and hugging me in her arms.
Oh, darling, you have no idea how long I've been waiting for this moment.
Following a whole lot of confusion, shocking revelations, and emotions, I finally found out the actual truth. It turned out that when I was 7 years old, Mom took me on a yacht trip. Only there was a terrible accident, so we took the lifeboat to shore. But then Mom fell out and ended up being rescued by another boat. We both suffered memory loss. In fact, Mom only remembered who I was when she saw the short film I starred in on YouTube. And then she tracked me down here. After that, I returned to live with my real mom. And guess what? I now realize just how awesome I am. I'm grateful to Harlow's parents for looking after me, but I still haven't forgiven Harlow yet. I'm trying to, as I know she's not all bad, but it's going to take some time. I also feel so blessed to have Hank by my side to help me discover my confidence and value my own worth. He even says I can be in his next film project, which I'm really excited about. It's good to know that I'm actually real. and I exist outside of Harlow's mind. The world is mine for the taking. And who knows, maybe one day I'll end up being a professional actress. Here I was, standing in the middle of Christian's apartment with a dumbfounded look on my face. I know I dated a lot of guys, but could it really have been so many that I'd accidentally dated this guy twice? I took another look around the room. Oh my God, that hideous lamp and minuscule kitchen looked really familiar. I was feeling uneasy as I sat on the couch and stared at the guitar. Okay, now I was sure that I'd definitely been here before. Panicking, I made an excuse that my favorite TV show was about to start, so I had to go home. Then I ran out of there. From that moment on, I avoided Christian at all costs. He tried to call and message me a bunch of times, but I ignored them all. How was it possible that I couldn't remember dating him? I mean, okay, I suppose I had been on a bit of a dating streak recently, but it was hardly enough to date myself into oblivion, right? Besides, if this was the case, shouldn't he be able to recognize me too? On the day we met, I was in a terrible mood, so was drowning my sorrows in a bar. I had a bit too much to drink, so when I walked out and accidentally bumped into Christian, I began blaming him. But instead of ignoring a drunk girl, he made sure I got home safely. After that, I don't know if it was by accident, fate, or if Christian was stalking me, but I seemed to run into him all the time. Hey, if the universe wanted us to hang out, then who was I to stop it? So I started talking to him, and turns out we got on really well. Then, of course, came that day when he dropped the bombshell. He said he likes me, and I kind of like him too, so we started dating. Now, did you see how wrong this was? If I'm his ex, then why did he approach me? Also, I mean, what are the odds for the both of us to just have zero recollection of each other? Or was he pretending not to know me? If so, then what were his purposes? Ugh, the best thing to do is to dump him first, right? Problem solved. But then one day, I got home from college to find Christian standing at my door with a bunch of groceries. He came by to cook me dinner. Oh, that's kinda sweet. Well, seeing as he's here, I should hold off on breaking up with him until after dinner, right? But man, it was so hard. All I could think about was how caring and thoughtful he was. Then suddenly, he said something that messed up my whole plan. My roommates are terrible cooks, especially my brother, so the two of them pester me to make all of their meals. Wait a minute, did he just say brother and roommate? So it turns out he wasn't living alone. What a relief! That means there was still hope that I could have dated his brother or his roommate, not him. I just needed to figure out which one it was. I needed to find out more about them, so I praised him for more information. He told me that his brother was dumped by his ex in the worst way possible. He'd arranged a romantic dinner at a restaurant, and while he was talking, she screamed out that she wanted to break up. It was not only devastating for him, but also humiliating. Oh my God. That sounded so familiar, because I often did that too. It's like my signature move. Could it be that the person I dated was his brother, Connor? If yes, then that would be great. It means I could continue dating Christian, right? To be honest, I really hope it's Connor. So all I needed to do was meet the guy and let him confirm it. But easier said than done. The guy was never home. Until one night. Christian and I were at a bar when we heard some loud noises coming from the booth next to us. A guy was yelling at a couple. Seeing that, Christian immediately ran over to them and stopped the guy. Turns out the guy yelling was Connor, and the couple were his ex and her new boyfriend. So she was the one who broke up with him in that terrible way, not me? Now it's either Christian or his roommate. While I was in deep thought, Christian came back with 2 hot dogs in his hands. Hey, Christian! Suddenly, we heard someone calling his name. We turned around to see 2 guys standing behind us. It was none other than Christian's roommate, Wes, and his boyfriend. Yes, you heard me right, his boyfriend. So that means I didn't date him either? After that, I couldn't pay attention to the game anymore. In what way could this all make sense? But wait, maybe I was wrong. I mean, many apartments look the same, don't they? Seeing me zoning out, Christian nudged my arm, then handed me a hot dog. I thanked him and was about to take it when he snatched it back.
Oh wait, you hate ketchup, 'cause you always get ketchup stains on your clothes. Here, take this one.
What did you just say? How did you know that?
Oh, you did tell me once, don't you remember?
I just gave an awkward smile. I'm 100% sure I hadn't told him that. So, there's no denying, Christian is my ex-boyfriend. It's settled. I'm breaking up with him. That night, I couldn't sleep, as all I could think about was Christian. He obviously remembered me because he knew about the ketchup thing. But why the act? Oh my, he definitely wants revenge. I'm sure of it. But, why did this suck so much? He was just some guy. I could find another boyfriend easy enough, right? But chances are, they wouldn't be as sweet and caring as Christian was. One time when I was stressing out about my essay, he stayed up late so he could read it through for me and point out any typos. And whenever I was feeling down, he would send me a cake. Sometimes a box of donuts with a little note to cheer me up. I was definitely going to miss his cute ways, but I couldn't do this anymore. He had to go. So the next day, when I met Christian for lunch, I decided to take the opportunity to break up with him. But before I could say anything, we ran into a guy who claimed to know me.
Oh my god, is that you, Sadie?
Huh? Who is he?
Oliver. My god, long time no see. You know Sadie? Christian? Hey, what a small world. Yeah, we used to date.
My god. Guys, this is Oliver, who happened to be Christian's former roommate, which, apparently, my ex. He used to live with Christian before Wes moved in. So that means, hooray! Christian wasn't my ex and wasn't longing for revenge. Yay! Although, it's kind of weird that Oliver didn't look at all familiar to me. Maybe I really did need to stop dating so much. This is crazy, but it made me realize something. I really had fallen for Christian. So I decided to set up a romantic dinner in a nice restaurant so I could tell him. Christian, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I love you. I eagerly awaited for him to say it back, but no. Instead, he burst out laughing. Huh? And that's when everything came to light. Guess what? Christian really is my ex.
When we were at the basketball match, I made a big mistake with the ketchup thing. I sensed you were sus, so I asked Oliver to pretend to be your ex. And it worked.
But why? What did I do to you to deserve that?
Oh wow, you really don't remember, huh? Well, just proves what a terrible person you are. You don't care what love is. You just like to mess with people's feelings, then move on to your next victim. Well, let me refresh your memory. We used to be a happy couple. Until one day you decided to end things without even an explanation. Right when I was having the hardest time. Things didn't go well at work and my mom was sick in the hospital. Did you know how heartbroken it made me feel? Then a month ago, when I saw you dump that guy in public, then walk past me without even recognizing me, I knew everything was a joke to you. So I came up with this plan, and I don't regret anything. Then he stood up and walked off.
What? That couldn't be true, right? Because I had no recollection of what Christian just said. But he seemed adamant it was true, so I went to see my doctor. Actually, ever since the accident, I haven't been back here for any extra checkup. And you know what? After several tests, I was diagnosed with memory loss. Well, that explained a lot. You see, a few months ago, I had a bicycle accident. I fell off a cliff, but luckily it wasn't high. I bumped my head, but I thought I was okay, as I still remembered my family and friends. Turns out, I only lost the memory about the period of time when I was dating Christian. How ironic. But it was a big misunderstanding. You know, I have this bad habit that every time I feel someone is getting distant towards me, I save face by dumping them first. So maybe when Christian was busy taking care of his mom in the hospital, I misread the situation and ended things with him. He was right. I am a horrible person. I can't believe I let an amazing guy like him go. But nope, not this time. I believe the universe gave me a second chance. That's why I met him again. So I ran to Christian's apartment to explain everything to him. But when I knocked on the door, Wes opened it.
You just missed him. He's heading to the airport to visit his parents for a few weeks.
What? I couldn't wait 2 more weeks, so I took a cab to the airport. But on the way, I got stuck in traffic. Ugh! How am I supposed to find him now? Wait a minute. I've seen this scene play out many times in movies. So, can you guess what I did next? Yep, I stepped out of the taxi and ran like a crazy person up the road. I looked into each taxi hoping to find Christian and, do you believe it? I finally found him. He looked very shocked when he saw me getting into his cab. Before you kick me out, please let me explain. Then I began to tell him about my mom and how my dad and countless other men abandoned her. I was left terrified of being abandoned by someone I love, so my own irrational fear meant that when Christian was busy taking care of his sick mom, I thought it was a sign that he was about to dump me. So I ended things first with him. It's not because you didn't mean anything to me. On the contrary, you made me feel safe. I just like you so much that I didn't want to get hurt by you. Then I explained to him about my accident and why I don't remember him. Christian remained silent and kept his head down. It seemed like he didn't want to give me another chance. I tried, but I couldn't make him forgive me. So, feeling glum, I opened the car door to get out. But Christian took my hand and said,
Sadie, I have missed you. Okay, fine. Let's give it another try.
So that was it. Christian gave me a second. Oh, wait. Actually, it's the third chance. And can you guess what we did next? Well, I'm now sitting at the airport with Christian, waiting for our flight to his hometown to meet his parents. I would be lying if I said I wasn't nervous. Wish me luck.
Let me tell you something. Something really important. I have acrophobia, so this is my idea of a nightmare. I don't want to be here at all. Oh, and that guy on the other side is Charlie. He's my boyfriend, but I don't actually like him like that. So you're probably wondering how I ended up here, 200 meters above the ground and about to make this terrifying leap. Well, let's just start from the beginning. Hi, I'm Luna, a 17-year-old high school girl from a small town in New South Wales. Growing up, I was desperate to please my hardworking single mom. The problem was she was nearly always tired and irritable. So no matter what I said or did, it usually ended up being wrong. The most common words that came out of her mouth were, "If you want me to love you, you have to be nice." I wanted her to love me more than anything else in the world, so I did everything I could to appease her. This led to the need to make everyone happy, and left me with an unfathomable fear of being hated by others. If I made other people happy, then they'd like me, right? So whenever someone asked me to do their homework or cover for them on roll call, I did so without hesitation. And if there's ever an argument or awkward situation, regardless of if I'm to blame or not, I always apologize first. At 15, I moved to Sydney alone for high school, and that's when I met my roommate Margot. She's my complete opposite, but this didn't stop us from becoming best friends. She is independent, sassy, and doesn't let anyone pressure her into doing anything she doesn't want to. Guys, if I were more like her, I would have been able to avoid a lot of trouble. Once we had a group assignment in biology, and I, by chance, teamed up with these 2 popular girls. The day before the deadline, they both texted me saying they were sick and asked me to do their parts. This was a lot of work for one person, but I didn't want to upset them, so I agreed. But then, that night, while I was scrolling through Instagram during my brief break after hours of studying, I saw them checking in at a party. What? So they lied to me so they could go out and have fun and left me home alone to do their homework? Oh my, I just want to take this pen and throw it right at their dumb duck faces. How is that cute in anyway? Ugh, but who was I kidding? I knew full well I'd never be able to tell them what I really thought of them. So I picked up the pen and continued my workload meant for 3 people alone. I stayed up all night and drank 3 cans of energy drinks, but it was just too much work for one person to finish on time. Our assignment, or should I say, my assignment, got points deducted due to late submission, which somehow made the popular girls mad. What have you done? How could you turn in the assignment late? I'm sorry. It's just that doing it all by myself was a bit too much for me. Oh, please. You had the whole day to finish it. It's all down to your poor time management. Right at that moment, Margot appeared, out of nowhere, and stepped between us. Pfft. If you both cared so much about your grades, then you would have helped Luna complete it. Instead of going to some stupid party, how about I report you to the teacher to cross out your names from... Margot, enough. Sorry, don't mind her. Then I quickly pulled Margot away. Apologizing to them was a ridiculous thing to do. It wasn't your fault. I know it's not my fault, but there's no point making a scene out of it, right? Fine. In that case, I'll leave you alone with all the troubles you've caused yourself. I don't care anymore. Oh, no, I didn't mean to make Margot mad. I quickly apologized to her, told her she was my best friend in the whole world, and asked her to go for a milkshake to make up. A week later, on the day my volunteer club was selling lemonade to raise funds for a children's charity, I suddenly fell sick. Oh no, I'd been telling everyone at the club how important this event was, but now I was the one who'd be absent. How embarrassing. I needed to show them how sincere I was. I texted the club president that I was sick, but if the club really needed me, I could still try to participate. Now I can finally sleep. But who would know? Before I even had time to curl up in bed, he texted back saying how they really needed my help. So if I could come, that'd be great. Oh, no. Did I really have to drag my feverish self over there? Not knowing what to do, I turned to Margot for advice, but she snapped at me. If you knew you couldn't go, why suggest otherwise? People will always take advantage of you if you let them. So just make it clear that you're sick and can't participate. Then she told me how her music club had a dinner meeting tonight, yet she'd already decided she was having a relaxing pamper session tonight, so she immediately told them she was otherwise engaged. Margot was right. If I'd done as she said in the first place, I wouldn't have had to rack my brains looking for excuses to say no without annoying anyone. Finally, I texted the club president that I was afraid of infecting everyone, so I'd better stay home. Then I fell asleep and found my worries plaguing my dreams. The next day, I felt better. So after class, I dropped by the club's room, but I instantly felt weird vibes from everyone. Then when I asked the club president how much money we'd earned from the event, he totally blanked me. Oh, no. He was obviously still mad with me for letting him down. I was lost in thoughts when suddenly someone tapped me on the shoulder. I heard you were sick. Are you feeling better now? It was Charlie, one of the club members. He told me that day I was off sick. He voluntarily took over all of my work. So I invited him out for a thank you dinner right away. Maybe he misunderstood my goodwill gesture, as after that he bombarded me with texts, calls, and soppy memes. Then one day while we were walking together, Charlie suddenly stopped and took my hand. Luna, we've known each other for a while now. I think it's time for me to confess my feelings. I like you. Will you go out with me? Oh my. What did he just say? I stood there dumbfounded. I mean, I liked him as a friend, but not romantically. But when I met his expectant gaze, my conscience began to torment me. He was such a nice guy, so how could I say no to him? In the end, I forced a smile, then nodded in agreement. My feelings for him will develop over time, right? But unfortunately, the answer to this was no. Actually, since we started dating, I found myself liking him even less than before. He does a lot of things that irritate me, such as the time he insisted we wear couple outfits to school. Yeah, slogan shirts with "he's mine, she's mine" printed on them should definitely be left in 2010. Ugh. He smugly ushered me around the school and seemed oblivious to the laughs and points in our direction. If only the ground could just open up and swallow me right away. That evening, noticing how fed up I looked, Margot asked me if everything was going all right between me and Charlie. So I told her everything. I thought she'd get mad at me again, but to my surprise, she just sighed and told me to tell the truth and break up with Charlie before things got too serious. That's the best way to stop both of us from getting hurt. And also, I've heard a lot of bad things about Charlie. People say he's kinda erratic. You better get this over with as soon as possible. Yeah, Margot's right. Next time I saw Charlie, I was ending this once and for all. Turns out I didn't have to wait long, because that Sunday afternoon, Charlie came to pick me up for our date. He told me he had a surprise in store for me, and I was gonna love it. Okay, it sounds like he'd gone to loads of effort, so it was probably best if I left breaking up with him until the journey home. Almost there! Hearing what Charlie said, I looked out the window and... Oh my god! Is that a bungee jumping spot? So, long story short, here I am, 200 meters off the ground, my legs trembling like a leaf and my heart thudding like crazy. I was about to cry out of fear when suddenly I heard romantic music playing behind me. I turned around to see Charlie getting down on one knee, Behind him was eagle-eyed staff, holding roses and candles while swaying to the music. What's happening? I know we haven't been dating long, but it's clear that we're made for each other. Luna, will you marry me? What? Did I hear him wrong? I mean, I'm only 17. Seeing my puzzled look, Charlie hurriedly said, I know we're still in high school, but don't worry, we can wait till graduation. Then let's have the most wonderful wedding straight after that. This was insane. I stood there, rooted to the floor, not knowing what to do, and seeing everyone watching and waiting made me feel even more pressured. I was trying to figure all this out when Charlie forced the ring on my finger. Oh my God. What should I do? What should I do? Well, in classic me fashion, I didn't do anything. My stupid hand just froze in place. And in the end, it turned out like this. No, I couldn't let this happen. Charlie, actually, I don't have feelings for you. I was going to tell you today, but I didn't expect things to end up like this. You're kidding me, right? If you didn't like me, you wouldn't have let me put the ring on earlier. So I explained everything to Charlie. His face darkened with disappointment. I felt so guilty. I should have just been straight with him from the beginning, then none of this would have happened. We can still be friends, can't we? I asked, but Charlie replied without even looking at me. If you don't like me, then why give me hope? Why the emotionless tone? It felt like he turned into a completely different person. Afraid, I kept quiet, not daring to blurt out so much as a word. I'd be home soon and away from this suffocating atmosphere. But as Charlie drove, I noticed how the surroundings became stranger and stranger. This is definitely not the way to the dormitory. Finally, the car stopped at an abandoned construction site. Luna, get out of the car. Sensing his irritable tone, I did as he said. You can stay here until you've figured out that we're destined for each other. Then call me. I watched in horror as he drove away and left me there. I was all alone, in the middle of nowhere. Panicked, I called Margot for help, but as soon as she picked up, my phone ran out of power. I explored the area, but it was completely deserted. Would I be stuck here forever without anyone knowing? It was getting late. I'd barely eaten or drank anything all day, and this felt hopeless. I burst into tears, and then everything fell dark around me. I woke up to the bright lights of the hospital. Margot jumped in to give me a hug, then explained what had happened. Turns out that night after I called her, she checked my location on Snapchat and saw that I was in some deserted place. Sensing something was off, Margot and the dormitory manager went to find me and took me to the hospital. Charlie was disciplined and detained for a month for the trouble he'd caused. After that horrible experience, I talked a lot with Margot. She comforted me, encouraged me, and said that it seemed like my desire to please others stemmed from childhood trauma. Perhaps it was my mother's words. If you want me to love you, you have to be nice. That created the character I have now. I couldn't continue to let the past consume me. That summer, when I returned home to see my mom, together, we poured out our feelings and faced our problems. I finally figured out that being nice to people wasn't a bad thing, but agreeing to things just to avoid disappointing people isn't the correct thing to do at all. Now, with Margot's help, I'm step by step learning to say no to things I don't want to do, 'cause life's way too short to say yes to everything. Don't you think?
I'm standing in the middle of the room, wearing this extravagant dress and a glittery mask. All eyes are on me, but I can sense how ingenuine they are. This is supposed to be my sweet 16th, and yet all of these guests were complete strangers. Ugh, it's all that slimeball Gregory's fault. Actually, this OTT party was all down to him. Oh, hi, I'm Vivian, but my friends call me Viv. My mom, Jacqueline Mars, is one of the wealthiest people on Earth. So I grew up thinking massive mansions, gigantic pools, and a floor entirely for toys was the norm. Well, at least I did until I turned 10. That day I was playing in my life-size dollhouse when I heard talking coming from the other side of the fence. I peeked over it and saw a woman and a girl around my age who looked kinda weird. Curious, I spoke up. Hey you, why do you dress so funny? Pardon? What did you say? You don't even have shoes on. That's so silly. You're the silly one. Bet you've never tasted this before, huh? So try it. Spoiled rich kids like you always look down on others. While in fact, you're no use to society. I just stood there dumbfounded as the security shooed them away. I never meant to offend her. I was just curious. so I rushed inside the house to find Mom and ask her about this.
Oh, honey, not anyone can be as wealthy as we are. That means you don't have to worry about a thing, sweet pea. Now go play so Mommy can work, okay?
Even to this day, Mom's words still linger in my ears. I've grown to resent my family's wealth. I just wanted to be a normal kid. That's why, by the time I got to middle school, I convinced Mom to let me transfer from my private school to a public one and wipe out everything about me online, so no one would know about my influential family. I get the bus to school, buy clothes from thrift shops, and prepare my own lunch instead of bringing the gourmet dish the chefs make for me. A perfect normal life. Until Gregory, Mom's so-called boyfriend, showed up. He sticks his big nose in everything. Thanks to him, Mom wouldn't stop nagging at me about my clothing, my trashy public school, or how I gotta stop hanging out with the mediocre kids. Ugh, he is driving me insane. And to top it off, he gave Mom the idea of throwing me a 16th birthday party. I hate attention. Mom knows this. But what Gregory wants, Gregory gets.
This could be an opportunity to introduce her to society and gain new associates. It'd be good for her when she takes over business in the future, blah, blah, blah.
Poof. Please. The only thing that man cares about is himself and his associates, not mine. In the end, I agreed to a masquerade ball, on one condition. Mom has to stop interfering with who I should or shouldn't hang out with, especially my friends at school. And that brings us to the present. Right when the host announces that it's time for my first dance? Huh? My what now? Ugh. Gregory! I was confusedly looking around to find a partner when suddenly a hand grabbed me.
Birthday girl, come dance with me.
Ugh, what a creep. Let go! Can somebody help me with this? Suddenly a boy around my age appeared. Oh my. He has the most beautiful gray eyes I've ever seen.
Excuse me, sir. I believe the lady has agreed to have her first dance with me.
Thank you, handsome stranger. As we danced, I couldn't help but stare dreamily into those gorgeous eyes of his. We were about to leave the dance floor when he whispered in my ear,
"Wait here. I'll be right back."
Who would have thought a superficial party like this would lead me to my perfect guy? Suddenly, I heard a snapping sound behind me, and as I turned around, my mask fell off. Oh no, a paparazzi cut my mask string. I tried to cover my face with my hands, but it was no use. Luckily, Mum rushed over and hid me behind her.
"Sorry everyone, but the party's over. We had a great time and hope to see you all again soon."
Then she led me back to my room, while the security showed everyone the way out. From that moment on, my ordinary life ended for good. My face was plastered all over the internet as the billionaire Jacqueline Mars's daughter. Now everyone at school is looking at me funny. I don't get it, guys. I'm still the same old Viv. Oh, there my besties are. They would surely have my back, right? But nope. As I approached them, they went ballistic on me, saying how I don't trust them enough to confess about my actual background, so from now on we're no longer friends. This is so unfair. I never asked for any of this. I wipe away my tears, trying to act like nothing happened. Huh? What's this? There's a note lying on top of my books that says,
"Hey, it's me, the guy from your birthday party. I'm so sorry for what happened to you. If you need anyone to talk to, text me anytime."
Oh, so he's from our school? Wow. Just when I thought no one's there for me, he showed up again. But there's no name, though. Is he still playing this mysterious game? Okay, I'll just call him my masked knight then. From that day on, we texted nonstop. He just gets me. My family situation, my friends, everything. One time, he even secretly slid a Blackpink concert ticket in my bag, since I once told him that I was their diehard fan. Another time, he sent me a gift card to my all-time favorite ice cream store, Ben & Jerry's, just to cheer me up on a bad day. Aww. This ice cream tastes delicious, but I can't help wishing the masked knight was here with me. All I know is he has the most beautiful gray eyes and gorgeous black hair. Oh, speak of the devil.
Hey, I have a surprise for you this Valentine's Day. Hope you're as excited to see me as I am to see you.
Finally, I get to meet the boy I'm crazy about. I can't wait. On Valentine's Day, I was in English staring out of the window, And thinking about my masked night, I wonder what he looks like. Ladies, I've brought your Valentine's roses. Here you go, Viv. This is it. It's gotta be from him. Happy Valentine's Day. Have a taste of the rose, then come meet me at the pool. X. I quickly unwrapped the candy, popped it into my mouth, then rushed to meet my dream man. Well, where was he? As I tried calling him, the room started to spin. I saw the outline of a blurred black figure, then... Ugh. My head is killing me. Where am I? And whose hand am I holding? Hold on. Those eyes. He must be. Thank goodness you're awake. Are you the one who danced with you at your birthday party? In the flesh. I'm Jeremiah, by the way. I had higher hopes for our first face-to-face meeting, but oh well. Turns out, he always knew I went to the same school as him, but he was a bit intimidated by my family's influence, so he decided to get to know me via text first. He said the cops had found some sort of sleep-inducing substance in my rose candy. Before I could quiz him anymore on this, Mom barged into the room and hugged me. After making sure I was okay, she turned to Jeremiah and said, "You saved my daughter. For that, I can never thank you enough. Please join us for dinner tomorrow night." Jeremiah seemed hesitant at first, but then he nodded in agreement. The dinner did not go as planned. Between Mom's blatant interrogating and Gregory's menacing looks, I could sense Jeremiah's discomfort. Then when Jeremiah asked where the restroom was, Gregory insisted on showing him. When Jeremiah returned, he seemed flustered and made his excuses to leave. Gah! What had that annoying Gregory said to him? I quickly followed Jeremiah and apologized, but he just smiled and offered to pick me up for school tomorrow. The cops haven't found the culprit yet, so from now on, I'll be your guardian. How sweet. After that, I hung out with him every day. Great, right? Only, somehow it didn't feel the same as when we were texting. Back then we had a deep connection. Now it was just like two friends hanging out. Oh, and not to mention Olivia, Jer's childhood friend who can't seem to leave him alone for more than 2 seconds. One time, Jer and I were at the movies together, but guess who coincidentally appeared and plonked herself down next to him? Yep, Olivia. Worse still, with their giggling and popcorn sharing, I felt like the third wheel. I was not having this again, so I just left for home in this random cab parked outside the theater. But bad luck. The driver doesn't know the way. He doesn't even have a phone, and I had to lend him mine for GPS. The guy snatched it out of my hand immediately. Rude. But wait, it was 9 p.m. already. Why did he still have shades on? And even wore a mask? Right then, I realized the car had passed the town's border. Stop! The car suddenly filled with smoke, and the last thing I thought was, he has eyes that were exactly like Jer's. I woke up finding myself in this old, cobwebby room. Where is this place? And that driver guy? I have to get out of here now. Right at that moment, he came into the room with a smile. Don't you recognize me? Will you have another dance with me? 'Cause I'd love that. What is happening right now? What he just said. Did that mean he's the actual masked knight? Maybe that's why I don't feel connected to Jeremiah. Why did Jer lie to me then? So many questions popped up in my head. Then suddenly I heard a car stop outside. That guy immediately went to check. This could be my chance of escaping. By the time I got downstairs, I saw the driver guy talking to Jeremiah. So I hid behind the door and watched on. Cameron, just stop this. Getting revenge on our father is one thing, but this is a step too far. Take Viv back to her family now and end this. I know this looks bad, but trust me, I'd never hurt Viv. I didn't mean for her to fall into the pool. That's why I jumped in to save her. But I need her as bait to show the world what that jerk Gregory is like. He doesn't deserve to be her father. I muzzled myself in shock. Gregory is their father? And that Cameron guy was the one saving me, not Jer? Don't you forget who abandoned us when Mom had a close brush with death, then took all our business and properties, even our home, leaving us helpless?
That jerk deserves all he gets.
I was trying to process it all when another car arrived. Gregory's. I quickly hid under the stairs before he walked in with a bunch of bodyguards.
Cameron, Jeremiah, my sons, haven't you grown up so fast? Cut to the chase. Give us back the business and what's rightfully ours. Then we'll let your stepdaughter go. Huh, indeed. Like father, like sons. Very smart. But still amateurs, my boys. You see, all that girl is to me is an obstacle blocking my way to the inheritance. So please, be my guest and take care of that little Miss Annoying.
Aren't you afraid we'll expose everything you just said?
And who's gonna believe you now? Jacqueline is mesmerized by me, so she'd believe anything I say.
That snake. How dare he speak of my mum like that? Unable to hold in my rage, I jumped out of my hiding spot and screamed at Gregory. What did you say about my mum? You slimy, lying traitor!
Nice talking to you all, but the fun has to end here. Goodbye.
The guards lunged forward, about to tie me up when the cops smashed the door coming in, and behind them was Mum!
Stop right there! How dare you do this to my daughter?
Gregory's face turned paler than a ghost as he mumbled out,
Jackie, honey, why you're here? But just in time to save our baby, Vivian. Cut the act. I already heard everything you said, and you're going to jail for a long time.
Then the cops led him and took his crook guards away. Seeing Mum, I was so happy I rushed to hug her. Turns out, her investigations of the pool incident led her to Cameron, so when she confronted him, he eventually told her everything. That's how they came up with a plan to catch Gregory red-handed. Mum and the cops had been waiting in ambush around here for Gregory to show up. Then, well, you know the rest. A lot has happened in 3 months. Mum finally finished all the legal stuff, so now the property Gregory had merged with hers to gain her trust is now signed back over to Cam and Jeremiah. I realized that being wealthy isn't a bad thing, especially as it means with influence like this, I can help other less fortunate people and really make a difference. Now I help Mum with her business and her charity work, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm proud of my hard-working, amazing mum, and I'm proud of who I am. And guess what? I now have real friends who like me for me. As for Jeremiah, well, he apologized about everything. He used to fear his brother was going to hurt me, so he lied to protect me. We made up, of course, and became the best of friends. I'm not sure I can say the same about his brother, though. He did everything he could to beg for my forgiveness, but I just can't. Then one day, Jer asked me to come by his home to visit his mom. She begged me not to think badly of her boys, especially Cameron. He's in love with you, you know? He always talks about you, and how he wishes things would have been different. Oh boy, her words are starting to have an effect on me. When I walked out the door, I saw Cameron sitting on the porch. He turned and looked at me, and I felt my heart pound for my gray-eyed, masked knight. So, taking a deep breath, I walked over to him, just as the sun was setting.
I've made it! I'm on the paradise island of Koh Lanta, and I actually get to stay here at this luxurious beachside resort. Hey, I'm Achara, a 17-year-old girl from Krabi Town, Thailand. As amazing as this place is, I'm actually not here on vacation. Instead, I'm here to reunite with the boy I saved 10 years ago. I almost forgot he existed until last week when I came across a Facebook post by Thomas, a famous British swimmer, searching for the mystery girl who saved his life as a child. Thomas is currently in Thailand for business, so here I am, eager to finally see him again. I was waiting by the gate when suddenly sounds of rolling suitcases came from behind me. I turned around to see 2 girls about my age standing there. Who are they? Before I could say anything, the gate opened and a friendly woman invited us inside. According to Mrs. Danvish, Thomas's housekeeper, he had a training schedule in another city and wouldn't be back for a couple of days. Then she introduced us to each other. The short-haired girl is called Sarai, and the longer-haired girl is Kanda.
Dearie me, I must say that having 3 girls all claiming to be Thomas's savior came as a bit of a surprise. But I'm sure the truth will come out in the wash. Until then, please all stay here and make yourselves comfortable.
So, those 2 girls are pretending to be me? Unbelievable! But no problem. Thomas would soon realize I was the one he was looking for and would kick those imposters out of here. I dropped my suitcase off in my room, then went downstairs for dinner. As soon as I sat down, Sarai spoke out. Stop acting. I know you two fakers are just pretending to be me so you can get your hands on Thomas's fortune. You're the fake one? Curly hair and a mole? You really have done your study, huh? OMG, these two audacious girls were getting on my nerves. At that moment, Mrs. Danvish entered, followed by the waiter with a trolley full of the most delicious-looking food I'd ever laid eyes on. Now that Mrs. Danvish was here, the two imposters immediately changed their frosty attitudes to their bright smiles and sweet-as-pie acts.
Ladies, please help yourselves to food and drink. Then tomorrow morning, after you've all been well rested, we shall have a little chat.
But how am I supposed to enjoy the food when I have these two vultures glaring at me? I quickly finished my meal, then rushed back to my room. I must be well prepared for tomorrow. The next morning, a maid escorted me out to the garden for breakfast. The other two girls were already there. On seeing me, Khanda scowled at me, while Sarai made a point of sawing her knife through her omelet. I was about to help myself to some breakfast when suddenly Mrs. Danvish appeared and said,
Morning, girls. I hope you're all well rested.
She sat down, then continued.
Now to the main point. I'm rather curious and was wondering where you first met Thomas.
Easy. It was here on this island when I was 10 years old. I was collecting shells on the beach when I met him. Busted. I was only 7 years old then, imposter. Gee, a careless move over there, Khanda. Thomas clearly specified in an interview that he'd been 8 years old and the girl who saved him was a year younger. Yes, I met Thomas when I was 7 years old. At that time, my father was a helmsman. I often followed him here, and once I spotted Thomas sitting alone on the beach. Feeling bored waiting for my dad, I came to say hi and hang out with them the whole day. That afternoon, Thomas got a cramp while swimming, and he would have drowned if it wasn't for me. I saved him, then my father and I took him to the hospital. Mrs. Danvish just listened silently, and when all three of us had finished answering, she said,
Indeed, the girl in question was 7 at the time. So, Khanda.
No, I just misremembered. See, I was only 7 at the time. I could easily get confused. Mrs. Danvish didn't say anything more after this, but I saw this knowing look in her eyes. Then, that night at dinner, there were only 2 places at the table set, and Khanda never made an appearance. Seems like things are getting serious. The next morning, I was making the most of my time here by lounging around on the beach, reading my favorite book, when someone blocked out the sun. I looked up to see Sarai smirking down at me. Enjoy yourself while you can, as you'll be the next to leave. As if! You may have memorized all the information from the newspapers, but that's not going to be enough to fool Thomas. You. I saw the fury in Sarai's eyes as she raised her hand to slap me. But, huh? Someone stopped her. Standing in front of me was a tall, handsome guy. Wow, who is he?
Miss, violence is not the answer.
Who are you to lecture me?
Actually, I'm Eli, Thomas's assistant.
Sarai tutted under her breath and then strutted off.
Are you okay?
I'm fine. I just don't know how someone has the nerve to lie like that. We continued talking as we strolled along the beach. Eli mentioned how I was exactly as Thomas had described me. Seeing as Eli seemed to be on my side, I took the chance to ask him more about Thomas, such as what his favorite foods, colors, and movies were. Yesterday I spoke to Thomas's housekeeper, Mrs. Danvish. She seems to know a lot about him, doesn't she?
That's right. She was Thomas's nanny. Due to their busy schedules, Thomas's parents were often busy, so most of the time Mrs. Danvish was the one taking care of him. He's very fond of her.
Then Eli showed me a picture of Mrs. Danvish hugging a smiley, young-looking Thomas. Oh, so he had blonde hair when he was little? I was so lost in thought, I didn't notice a rock and tripped over it. Eli immediately reached out to steady me. Then he asked if I was okay. Oh my God, what happened to me? Why is my heart thudding like crazy? That night, Sarai and I were sitting in the dining room having a stare-off as we waited for dinner, when suddenly a man walked in holding 2 bouquets of sunflowers. Thomas! Oh wow, he looks even more handsome in real life. My best friend Dara should have been here to see this. I told her to come here, but she wouldn't listen to me. Before I had time to greet Thomas, Sarai rushed over and hugged him. Then she pretended to get all emotional.
Finally, we're reunited. Not a day has passed when I haven't thought of you.
Thomas awkwardly pushed her away, then scratched his head.
Let's have dinner first and then talk about this later.
The food looked delicious as always, but I had a job to do. Only, whenever I tried to say something to Thomas, that awful Sarai interrupted me.
Since our first meeting, the image of a cute brown-haired boy has been imprinted on my heart.
I noticed Thomas pause and exchange a knowing look with Eli. You mean blonde, right? She thinks you had brown hair because she's never seen you when you were a kid, and that just proves she's a fraud. Thomas looked at me, stunned, then turned to Sarai in disappointment as she blurted out,
It's not like that. Please hear me out.
Without letting Sarai finish her sentence, Thomas sternly said,
You know, I can totally sue you for impersonation and fraud. If you don't want to get in trouble, get out of here at once.
Sarai looked like she was about to cry as she stuttered helplessly, then quickly got up and left. Thomas then grabbed my hand, smiled, and said,
Finally, I found you.
So he's weeded out the frauds. But why do I feel so guilty when I see his cheerful face? And what about Eli? Why do I find myself wishing it wasn't Thomas holding my hand right now? The next morning, I took Thomas to my hometown and showed him around. We were walking along the shore of the Krabby River when I saw Dara waiting. There she is. I invited her to join us. This is Dara, my best friend. Dara, this is Thomas, the guy I was talking to you about. Right then, my phone started ringing. Excuse me, I've got to take this. Go ahead, guys. I'll be right back. I quickly left, but did not forget to wink at Dara and whisper to her, I did my best. Now it's your turn. I took a stroll around the area and came back to see Thomas sitting alone, looking off into the distance. Where did Dara go? Seeing me, he stood up and said,
Dara had something to do, so she left early. We should leave too.
On our way back home, I couldn't help but ask Thomas, So, Dara told you everything, right?
What do you mean? Oh, well, she did tell me about some interesting spots in the town.
Oh man, that means Thomas still has no clue? Silly Dara. I put so much effort into bringing him here.
Oh, hey, Achara. This suddenly came to my mind. When you took me to the hospital back then, do you remember what flower you gave me?
Flowers. He got me sunflowers last time, so it must be... Of course I remember. I gave you a sunflower. I wanted to cheer you up. I was expecting a nod from Thomas, but to my surprise, he sighed and said,
Actually, I just made that up. There were no flowers at all.
Thomas's words got me wavered. I didn't want to end up in a position like this. Fine. If Dara chickened out of telling him the truth herself, then I guess I just have to do it. Thomas, I'm sorry. Actually... And so I told Thomas the truth. The one who saved Thomas that day was Dara, not me. And she's in a pretty tough situation right now. Ever since her dad's accident that left him unable to take his boat out anymore, Dara's family were in terrible debt. So, when I saw the article where Thomas was searching for his savior, I tried to convince Dara to come forward, as he might be able to help out her family. But I can't do that. I can't let him see me in this awful state. He would presume I was only after his money. No matter how much I tried to convince her, Dara still refused to go and meet Thomas. And so I decided to disguise myself as Dara and approach you first. Then I planned to reunite you here.
And she agreed to all that?
No, she didn't. I carried things out all alone. I kept asking Dara for more information about the past and then spent all my savings on hair appointments and makeup to fake a mole like hers. Then I lied to my parents that I was participating in a summer camp and went to Koh Lanta. I also arranged to meet her here today, but I guess she's still not ready to talk to you.
Actually, when I saw Dara, I felt this strange connection toward her, but seeing the way she left like that, maybe she doesn't want to see me again.
Oh no, what had I done? I want to bring them together, not drive them apart. Are things really just going to end up like this? It's been 3 days since then, and now here I am, nervously waiting for Dara in the airport lobby. I'd asked her to meet me here, but this doesn't look good. Does she really not even bother to say goodbye to me before I leave the country?
Achora, seems like Dara isn't coming. I'm sorry, but we have to go.
I gave a solemn sigh and pulled my suitcase when suddenly I heard someone call, "Wait up! Achara!" I turned around and saw Dara running towards me. Oh boy, what a relief! I quickly hid away my smile and put on a sulky expression. "Oh, you're here? Thought you wouldn't come. Anyway, my boyfriend and I are off to London to meet his family. They're really eager to meet his savior, right, babe? Thank you for coming to send me off." Dara gave an awkward look. Then she took my hand and led me over so she could whisper, "Achara, can I talk to Thomas in private for a minute?" Yes, my plan worked. I turned to Eli and gave a thumbs up. Then we rushed off and left Dara and Thomas to talk alone. Did you really think I would let those two idiots give up on each other so easily? No way. I had discussed it with Thomas and planned to fake a cheesy farewell at the airport, and voila! Dara finally realized her feelings for Thomas in this hit-or-miss moment, and the two of them had a happy reunion. Yay! So, what about me, huh? Well, you don't have to worry, because I might have scored this cute, handsome assistant right here.